Nobody was supposed to be watching Shohei Ohtani on May 14, 2026. He wasn't pitching. He wasn't hitting. He wasn't even in the starting lineup. Manager Dave Roberts had officially given the most talented baseball player on the planet a night off, his first genuine rest day of the entire 2026 season, and told him plainly, "Show up late, take it easy, let your teammates handle it." What Roberts did not account for was this. Shohei Ohtani does not know how to be a spectator. While the Los Angeles Dodgers fought through a tense, back-and-forth series finale against the San Francisco Giants, the most entertaining footage of the entire evening was not happening on the field. It was happening in the dugout. It was Ohtani, off-duty, uninhibited, fully himself, turning a baseball bench into something that looked more like a Japanese variety show. It was Yoshinobu Yamamoto doing impressions. It was Will Smith quietly setting a trap. It was a hood, a prank, and a moment that nobody saw coming. This is not just a story about a baseball game. This is the story of what happens when Shohei Ohtani has nothing to do, and everything to give. To understand why the dugout became the main event, you first need to understand what led to this moment. The 4-game series between the Dodgers and Giants had been, by any honest measure, a difficult week for Los Angeles. The Giants won the first 2 games convincingly, 9-3 and 6-2, pushing the Dodgers to 5 straight losses and leaving an entire fanbase quietly uncomfortable. The offense had gone cold in a way that felt stubborn. 3 runs or fewer in 10 of their last 13 games. A team built for dominance, suddenly struggling to score. Then came Game 3 on May 13th. Shohei Ohtani took the mound and did what Ohtani does when the pressure is highest, he made it look simple. 7 innings. 0 runs. 8 strikeouts. An ERA that dropped to 0.82, the best mark in all of Major League Baseball. Dave Roberts stood in the dugout that night watching his pitcher operate with the calm of someone who had already decided the outcome before the first pitch, and said afterward, "When he's pitching, I just sort of let him go. He's in a zone." But the plan was already in place. Ohtani would not hit on Wednesday during his pitching start. And on Thursday, the series finale, he would not play at all. First real off day of the season. Full rest. No lineup card. Roberts' instructions were almost fatherly in their simplicity: show up late. Build up some R&R. Anyone who has watched Shohei Ohtani for more than 5 minutes already knew how that advice would land. It landed the way all rest advice lands with elite athletes: acknowledged, appreciated, and immediately ignored in spirit if not in letter. Ohtani showed up. He sat in the dugout. And then he made the dugout his. Here is something about Yoshinobu Yamamoto that rarely makes it into the highlight reels. He is funny. Not quietly funny. Not politely funny. Genuinely, unexpectedly, commits to the bit funny, the kind of funny that makes his teammates stop what they are doing and actually laugh. On the night of May 14th, with Ohtani sitting beside him in the dugout and the game still in its early innings, Yamamoto apparently decided that the most important use of his time was to recreate the moment that had sent the Dodgers sideline into pandemonium just 24 hours earlier. The moment in question was Alex Call's game-winning hit. In the 6th inning of the series finale, with 2 outs, 2 men on base and the game tied, pinch hitter Alex Call stepped to the plate against Giants reliever Matt Gage and sent a single to right field, scoring 2 runs, giving Los Angeles a lead they would not surrender, and delivering the kind of clutch hit that dugouts remember for weeks. The call that followed, the raw, instinctive broadcast reaction, the voice cracking with disbelief, was the kind of audio that stays in a clubhouse's collective memory. Yamamoto performed it. Verbatim. With full commitment. Standing next to Ohtani, who was already sitting back with the relaxed energy of a man who had been told explicitly to rest, Yamamoto launched into his impression of the call, the build, the pause, the eruption, and delivered it with the kind of theatrical investment that suggested he had been rehearsing since the final out of Game 3. Ohtani's reaction told the entire story. The man who had thrown 7 shutout innings less than 24 hours earlier, the man with the 0.82 ERA, the 4 MVP awards, the most unique skill set in the history of professional baseball, was laughing. Genuinely, completely, put his head back laughing. Because Yamamoto was good. And because that moment, Call's single, the eruption, the relief of finally winning, deserved to be celebrated exactly like this. This is what most people miss about the 2026 Dodgers. Between the records and the statistics and the ERA discussions, there is a group of human beings who genuinely enjoy each other's company. And nowhere is that more visible than when Shohei Ohtani has a night off and Yoshinobu Yamamoto has an audience. While Yamamoto was performing his impression and Ohtani was trying to recover from laughing, Will Smith was doing something else entirely. He was waiting. Will Smith had already made history on this particular evening before the game even started. Placed in the leadoff spot for just the 3rd time in his career, he stepped to the plate in the bottom of the 1st inning and drove a home run to right center off Landon Roop to give the Dodgers an immediate 1-0 lead. A catcher, hitting leadoff, in the spot that belongs to Shohei Ohtani, delivering the opening blow of a series finale. The dugout had erupted. The crowd had roared. But Smith, apparently, had decided that the on-field contribution was only the first act. The second act involved Yoshinobu Yamamoto's hood. The details reveal a prank executed with the patience and precision that, honestly, you would expect from a man who catches Shohei Ohtani's pitches for a living. Timing matters. Reading the situation matters. Knowing exactly when the other person is looking away, that matters most of all. Smith waited. Yamamoto was animated, engaged, mid-impression or mid-conversation, fully locked into whatever he was doing at that moment. And that was the window. The question that had the dugout quietly electric in that moment, would Yamamoto notice? There is something deeply human about a prank in a baseball dugout during a meaningful game. It exists in perfect contrast to everything that surrounds it, the tension of a close series, the weight of a losing streak being reversed, the significance of a Giants rivalry playing out in real time. And yet here, in the middle of all of it, a group of professionals were doing what all teammates who genuinely like each other eventually do. They were messing with each other. Yamamoto's eventual realization, the pause, the delayed recognition, the moment it clicked, was the kind of reaction that requires no translation, no cultural context, no baseball knowledge whatsoever. It is simply the universal language of someone realizing they have been got. Ohtani, sitting right there, off-duty and unguarded, watching the whole thing unfold with the same seat that usually gives him the best view of his own at-bats, he saw everything. Every second of Will Smith's setup. Every beat of Yamamoto's obliviousness. And when the moment arrived, he was already ready. Here is the thing about watching Shohei Ohtani when he is not playing. He does not disappear. In fact, the argument can be made, and the footage from May 14 makes it compellingly, that Ohtani is more present in the dugout on his days off than most players are when they are actively in the lineup. He is watching every pitch with the focus of a pitcher cataloging tendencies. He is reacting to every key moment with the physical energy of someone who cannot fully detach from the game no matter how many times Dave Roberts tells him to relax. He is laughing with Yamamoto, watching Smith's setup unfold, tracking the scoreboard, reading the game, doing everything except holding a bat. Smith was in the leadoff spot that usually belongs to Ohtani, who was given a second straight night off as designated hitter. The lineup around him adjusted. The team found a way. And all the while, Ohtani in the dugout was the emotional engine that kept the energy from flattening. This matters more than it sounds. There is a version of a star player on a rest day that every team has seen at some point, the player who sits at the end of the bench, headphones on, checked out, present in body but absent in spirit. Not punishing anyone. Just, not there. Ohtani is the opposite. When he is in the dugout is different. Louder. Lighter. More alive. His teammates feed off whatever he gives them, whether it is a dominant pitching performance or an impression competition with Yamamoto or a front-row seat to a perfectly executed prank. This is the version of leadership that never shows up in a box score. It cannot be measured with exit velocity or ERA or OPS. It is the simple, consistent act of being fully present, of bringing yourself to every moment, regardless of whether you are performing in it. While all of this was happening in the dugout, the Dodgers were playing a baseball game. The Giants tied it at 2 on Young-Hoo Lee's inside the park, 2-run homer off Emmett Sheehan with 2 outs in the 5th. The lead that Smith had built in the first evaporated. The dugout had to reset. The game tightened into exactly the kind of contest that a 4-game series rivalry between these two teams tends to produce: competitive, uncomfortable, decided late. With 2 outs, Alex Call singled to right-off reliever Matt Gage, scoring Max Muncy and Teoscar Hernandez. Miguel Rojas followed with an RBI single that gave the Dodgers a 5-2 lead. That was the moment Yamamoto had been waiting to immortalize. That was the call he had rehearsed. And that was the hit that, replayed in impression form, standing next to Ohtani in a Dodgers dugout on a warm May evening in Los Angeles, connected the drama of the game to the lightness of the bench in a way that only works when a team is genuinely close. The win moved the Dodgers back into sole possession of first in the NL West. The series was split. The losing streak was history. And Ohtani, who did not record a single statistic on May 14, 2026, had somehow been at the center of the best moment of the evening. There is a version of Shohei Ohtani that the world knows well by now. The pitcher with the 0.82 ERA. The hitter searching for rhythm in his return to full two-way play. The 4-time MVP carrying a workload that, as Roberts noted, is 36% greater than the next most involved player in baseball when you count both his at-bats and the batters he faces on the mound. That version of Ohtani is extraordinary. Historically extraordinary. The kind of player that people will describe to their grandchildren. But the version that the Dodgers dugout saw on May 14, off-duty, laughing at Yamamoto's impression, watching Will Smith's prank play out with the appreciation of someone who understands exactly how good the setup was, cheering every key moment of a game he was not playing in, that version is something different. That version is why this team wins. Not just because Ohtani is talented, but because he is present. Not just because he can throw 7 scoreless innings, but because when he cannot, he finds another way to give his team exactly what it needs. Yamamoto does his impression. Smith sets his trap. The dugout becomes electric. And Ohtani, off-duty, unrequired, officially resting, is right in the middle of all of it. Because some players are great on the field. And then there is Shohei Ohtani, who is great everywhere. Even when nobody is keeping score.